Well, hello everyone. Welcome to week 3. It's just barely 1 o'clock, and so we are just having a few people come on. When you come on, go ahead and tell us hello and let us know that you're here. I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited for this week. Hey Sarah, how are you? Who else do we have on? Jessica. Let's see. Hey there, Julie. Oh, your surgery got canceled. I don't know if that's good news or not, if that makes it so you have to wait longer, but we're glad you're here. Okay, 1 o'clock, we've got some people here listening live, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in because we have been struggling to get through every bit of the information that I want to share with you in just our 1 hour time frame. So I don't know, hopefully you have all seen in the email I sent and also the post I did today that I'm going to just accept that I am probably going to take 90 minutes. And if we get done earlier, high five. If we don't, and we go the full 90 minutes, well, everyone will be expecting it. And as always, I will stay and answer questions as long as needed. That's totally optional. People don't have to stay and listen to questions. Also, a new thing this week is my assistant, Tannen, my cute little Tannen, she is going to be creating a timestamp for the recording. In other words, we're going to have a kind of a table of contents for the recordings. So whether you're here live or whether you're listening to the recording later, you'll have a kind of an outline of when different topics are discussed in the recording. So if you read through the module and you really just want explanation, more explanation and mentoring on a certain section and you don't have time to read the whole thing or listen to the whole recording, then you can just go to that one section. Or if you're here live and participating and you want to go back and review later on or want to write something down that you maybe didn't catch or the complete part of, it'll be easier to find. So I'm hoping that is a good compromise. You'll have to let me know in the chat or on the Facebook group or in your survey that we'll have another survey at the end of this week. But you'll have to just let me know if it works well for you and if you're okay with the new changes, if that's helpful. Just a quick reminder, if you're here with me live, I love for you to interact on the chat. I'll do my best to take a minute here and there and look over at the chat and see, interact and see what's going on. If you have a question, please use the Q&A box. Tannen will just be keeping an eye on both the chat and the Q&A, and if there's something that needs to be asked right now, she'll try to bring it to my attention, so I will stop what I'm doing. Otherwise, I kind of get in my zone, and I just want to make sure that I stay with my flow and make sure that I don't forget to tell you things that I want you to know and give you all the information and details that I want you to have this week. So I'll try to kind of stay in my zone. That'll also help us with the time, unless I am intentionally taking time to look over the chat, or unless Tannen lets me know that there is a Q&A question that needs to be answered right now. Otherwise, I'll save most of the questions to the end because they may get answered as we go through the mentoring material anyway, okay? So hopefully you've all had a chance to open or download and print or open and save however you're tracking and accessing your module. You received an email yesterday. I also uploaded them into the group today. They're not under files yet, but they are on the post that just gave you a heads up, a reminder about our live session today. So hopefully you've had a chance to open it and kind of read through it. I'm hoping that when it arrives in your inbox on Sunday that you're looking for it and that you're taking the time to kind of read through it and come to our mentoring session either already with some context or even some questions in mind so that you can be open and looking and searching for that information and those details that are really meant for you and that you're really searching for, that will serve you in customizing this system for yourself. So I'm really hoping they've had a chance to do that. If you haven't, go ahead and click on over on the Facebook group, open the module, and I did want to address why I go through the module itself. Why am I not giving you extra or completely different information in the mentoring session? And this is why. The module and the mentoring session are meant to go hand in hand. They are not one replaces the other. They're not the same information. If I wrote every single word down that I tell you in a mentoring session, or how I respond to what I see, the questions or the concerns that are coming through in the group, those are why we have the mentoring sessions, is so I can address and kind of intuitively give you the details and the encouragement and the clarifications that you need. While the module is fixed, the module is trying to be as brief as possible to just give you the highlights and the basic information. And the mentoring session is when we go deeper, when I can give you more insight, more details. If I wrote every single word that I said, those modules would be 50 pages long and no one would ever read them and no one would ever use the information. So the two go hand in hand. The module does, there are things that I'm going to go through the module in the mentoring session, and we're going to touch on all of the pieces, but it's not, I don't want you to think that it's redundant. I'm hoping that, well, I guess I hope that you don't feel like it's redundant either. I want you to know that that's my method, or that's the reason I give you both. The reason we have a live meeting and session, and in addition to just giving you the module. If you're someone who can read it and you're like, oh, totally know what she's talking about, I know how this applies, then that is totally fine. Don't feel obligated to take on any more information than you need. But I'm hoping that the two ways of delivering the information to you meets everybody's kind of learning style and gives you the resources that you need to be able to go back and access the information easily with a quick reference, having the module, as well as being able to look back at the more detail and the more in-depth that we go to in the mentoring sessions, and that it will actually be turned into usable knowledge that you can continue to implement as you work towards this goal, right, in your family. So give me a thumbs up, or let me know if you are recognizing that in the chat. Let me know. I'm looking at it over here. Oh, thanks, Angela. Thanks, Mary. Great. I'm so glad. Thanks, Christine. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that is how everyone is seeing it. I just want you to know that there is a method and a reason behind that, without you thinking that one replaces the other. Okay. Anyway, wanted to make sure I said that, but let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump right in to going through the module and getting going. I'm trying a new way this looks, and we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and, so welcome to Module 3. I'm going to go ahead and kind of really quickly breeze through these first little initial pages. This week we are modeling joy. We're becoming more visible to our family. You think we've been bringing a little bit of example and modeling different things over the last couple of weeks. Well, this week we are upping that and bringing it extra and more intensified to people's attentions. So in your family. And the definition that we're focusing on this week is belonging. You can go, we've been talking about this from the very beginning. Belonging is, and we're actually, you can go ahead and read this. I don't need to say much more about it right now. When we get down to talking about, in just a few minutes, about the mindset practice that you're going to actually put into action this week, we'll talk a little bit more about this. Okay, and intention. The intention this week, we are adding a new part to our intention. So I gave you a little bit different explanation to what the intention is. I want you to know that the reason I'm giving you attention, an intention, is that you stay focused on the why the one little piece, it's like they're like the building blocks of the big picture, okay? The intentions are, when you focus on just a little piece, then you understand why you're taking certain actions. Because sometimes you get in your mind what the big goal is, right? And we're wanting to create that clear vision, but when you focus just on the big picture and don't break it down to smaller pieces, it can be overwhelming and you can get frustrated, not feeling like you're making progress. The intention helps us to remember the why behind the little steps, so that we recognize how the little steps add up to eventually get you to the big picture. Is that making sense? And I'm hoping that's what you are getting from my explanation. That's what I want you to hear. It gives you clarity. Why are you doing what? I mean, it keeps you clear on what the little steps are aiming for. It helps you remember the purpose of why you're doing those little things, even when they're hard, and why you're taking the time to kind of implement all the suggestions. And it helps you get direction so that you can customize the steps and the advice that I give you to help you get to your vision. Because your vision is unique, right? Your vision of your family culture is unique. So you have to, this system has to be you have to really understand the whys behind stuff so that you can see, okay, I see the purpose, I understand what I'm aiming for, how, in my situation, how can I adapt this? And I love that people are asking questions and asking for help of how to adapt things. Continue to do that. That is what I'm here for, to be your personal mentor. And every time you ask a question, there are probably 3 or 4 people in the group that had the same question and didn't dare ask. So you're helping and supporting the group every time you ask questions and ask for feedback. So I hope you feel free to do that. Don't feel self-conscious or embarrassed. Like I said, most of the time, every question has 2 or 3 people at least that are thinking the same thing, okay? So we're still going to be remembering our intention that we've been, that we've posted. Hopefully you have posted in your sacred space and have been reading, and that's that your family learns that everyone in your home is worthy of love and belonging and joy as they see you practice self-compassion and embrace your own imperfections. And that you will model courage by being consistent in working and learning and growing every day, and that you'll be open and share your struggles and strengths with your family, because you want them to know that they're accepted to have both struggles and strengths in your home. There's always room for both. And this week we're going to up that a little bit and change and add another little piece. So this week's intention is, above all else, my family will know that they are loved and lovable. It feels maybe it feels a little redundant because we talk about that everyone knows that they're worthy of it. Has been our intention in the past, but now our intention is really putting it into tangible practice, okay? Everybody is going to know above else that they are not only loved, but they are actually lovable. It's not just because I'm mom and I have to love them. It's actually because it's who they are, right? They'll learn this from my words and my actions, how I treat them and how I treat myself. I'll teach them compassion by practicing it first with myself and then with others. And I teach my family to honor hard work, hope, and perseverance, while rest and play are values that we practice. So I made this to where you can print an extra one of these sheets so that you can cut this one out if you want to put this and add it to your sacred space. I would highly recommend that. I printed an extra one out this morning, and I'm going to be putting it in my sacred space too, so that I'm right there with you and remembering this on an everyday basis. It's such a great reminder. I know this is a program that I've created and I've put together and practiced in my family, but I'm loving going through this journey again with you and renewing these principles and these intentions in my own family, in my own life, and kind of giving me an opportunity to self-check that I feel like, when you've done things for a long time, sometimes we can get complacent. So even if some of these things are habits to you, anytime I give you a suggestion that's already a habit, take the opportunity to self-evaluate and say, do I need to be more intentional about this? is there any way I can elevate this in my life? And last week we talked about that I was going to go ahead and add a list of the guiding principles, all that we've taught through the first couple of weeks, so you can start to see them building on each other. Remember, the guiding principles, these are kind of like your rules as you are trying to create this system, and these are the things to kind of keep in the back of your mind, that these are your foundational rules or guidelines, the things that you want to make sure that you're not forgetting as you are customizing and problem solving. If you customize something that goes against these principles, then you know it's the wrong direction. It has to go in line with these principles. So if you just, like, for instance, if you, like last week, we had inspire, not require as one of our guiding principles. If you customize, as we move through the system, and you start customizing a system where you have really rigid requirements instead of looking for ways to inspire, and we'll talk about this a lot more because this is a big one for me. And you'll recognize that, okay, that's not a customization that will be cohesive. Was that the right word? No, I don't know if that's the right word. That will complement, that's what I'm looking for. That will complement the system and will support you in actually creating the outcome you really do want, okay? This week we're adding two. The two we're adding this week are, there are no prerequisites for worthiness. This comes from Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly, and I know I talk a lot about Brene Brown, but I highly recommend all of her works. She has her goal is to inspire a conversation about these topics because they're so important to joy and to living a joyful, happy life and relationships and all of those integral parts that are so vital to our families. It's so, I like her. I talk a lot about her work, but I do that because it's so perfectly aligns with the mission that I feel and the things that I feel like have been so vital and so important to the systems and the programs. And I'm feel tongue-tied a little bit. Not the systems and the programs and the traditions and everything that I have kind of put into place, and then I'm trying to help others duplicate in their homes to create these cultures that support the family and support joyful, happy, productive living that is inspiring and just gives your life purpose, makes you feel like you have purpose, makes you feel hopeful. It's just what we're here to do. I feel like we are here to be joyful. We are here to model joy to our family and to those around us. And we're here to do it in spite of challenges and struggle and difficulties and trials and all that kind of stuff. People who are truly happy are not happy because they don't have any problems. They're happy because of these tools or the way they think and their beliefs that drive their mission and drive who they are. And I know that if you are a Brene Brown fan, you probably see a lot of parallels in the things that we teach. And I've been very inspired by all of her research and all of her work. And I guess I'm giving you that big disclaimer because I am not pretending that I made up any of that stuff. A lot of the things that I talk about are inspired from and have foundations from her research with shame and joy that she has published. So anyway. And that our guiding principle this week of there is no prerequisites for worthiness is one big part that she teaches, and it is absolutely a perfect guiding principle for the stage we're at in this and throughout the rest of this program. And the second guiding principle is take imperfect action. We're going to talk about these a little bit more as we go through the training. So with our mindset practices so far, so far we have week 1, we talked really heavily about thoughts, right? We have been capturing your gremlins, you've been taking time to fill yourself up, you've been getting rid of negative thoughts and labels by capturing gremlins and shredding or burning them and taking care of them and not letting them take hold. You've also been spending time filling yourself back up in your sacred space with compassion whispers and permission slips. I want to just say two things about this really quick, because I want you to continue working on this. This is the bottom foundation that never goes away. This is something you should always do. You're never done with keeping on top of your thoughts. But when it comes to gremlins, a lot of you have mentioned that you have some gremlins that keep coming up, or that just you feel like they happen over and over and over. I just want to give you a little bit of instruction on how you can go a little bit deeper and tackle some of those gremlins at their roots. Because if they're popping up over and over and over, then they are ones that are really deeply ingrained. I've even heard some of you say very definitive statements like, this is what always happens, or I am something, in comments, and saying, that's not a gremlin, it's just true. And I want you to know, every time you say a negative label or a definitive statement that this is something that happens and there's nothing you can do about it, that is 100% a gremlin. It is a gremlin that is telling you you are stuck, that there's nothing you can do. It's got a hold of you, and it's so ingrained in you and so familiar to you that you believe it as fact instead of recognizing it as something that you can improve or change. So I want you to stop and think about those gremlins that are either feel so solid that they they're holding on to you like as if they can't be changed, or they're the things that come up over and over and over. I want you to go a little bit deeper with them. Instead of just writing them saying, one of my gremlins is, and writing it and shredding it, I want you to ask yourself, how do you feel? How does that gremlin make you feel? Like, if, for instance, saying, I am always late. That is a gremlin, that you're labeling yourself as someone who is late, and as if it is something that you can't do anything about, right? I want you to say, how do I feel when I'm late? I want to stop it. You want to stop and think, do I like being late? Do I like everyone thinking that I'm late? How does that make me feel? And come up with some description about feel. So maybe it makes you feel embarrassed. Maybe it makes you feel frustrated, or maybe it makes you mad. I want you to pick the emotion that gremlin it can bring a whole bunch of emotions, but just pick one at a time. I want you to write on your gremlin sheet, I feel embarrassed. Like, for instance, if for the example of I'm always late, maybe an emotion is I feel embarrassed. So you're going to say, I feel embarrassed because, and you're just going to write all of the results, all the things that feeling brings, and write everything that you can until you don't have anything else to write. If you go on and on and on and it's like super time consuming, you might decide to just write for a certain time period. Okay. I like to set my alarm for like 7 to 10 minutes. Okay. And just pull everything you can think about when it comes embarrassed. It doesn't even have to relate to that gremlin. You are attacking that negative feeling that you have experiences that are giving that feeling roots. They're experiences that make that feeling as this is really who I am. That you've accepted it because the roots are so deep and strong. So I want you to write, and then you're going to do the same thing. You are going to, okay, well, actually there's a couple more steps to it. I wasn't planning on telling you this, but let me go ahead and tell you this. And actually, I'm going to have Tannen take note to have me put these instructions. I'll do a post this week about taking these instructions a little bit further. And this is what I call scratch and burn, okay? And it's a little, it just takes this gremlin capturing and destroying just a step further, okay? So you're gonna write the I feel whatever emotion because right. When you're done or when your alarm goes off, you're gonna look at it. And if you are alone, only if you're alone, you're gonna read it out loud. Because when you read the words that you've written out loud, you are, when you're reading it, you are saying, I see you, and I have gotten you out of me. You're saying, I see you, I have control of you. Look, I've captured you on this paper. So you're going to read it out loud, and then you're going to destroy it. Don't read it out loud if there are other people around. This is not something you spew onto other people. This is not something that you share with other people necessarily. These are the yuck. And don't do any editing to this. You can be as in fact, I actually like to scratch. I actually like to be scribble when I do it because I want it to feel like I am pulling something ugly out of me that I don't want to have anymore. I don't want to harbor those things anymore. So I actually intentionally scratch when I write. And that's why I call it scratch and burn, because that's how it feels to me that I'm doing that. I'm really just scratching out something that's ugly that I'm pulling out of myself. I'm reading it, I'm recognizing it, and then I'm destroying it. But the key thing afterwards that I think is really important is allowing yourself to forgive. You forgive yourself immediately afterwards. I like to open my arms as wide, and I like to just imagine pulling all of the love that I have in my bubble for myself and for those around me. And I just kind of pull this into my heart, and I close my eyes and I say, Annette, I forgive you for harboring and holding on to those negative feelings and all of that ugliness. And I'm so thankful and happy to let it go. And then I usually let my arms down and I shake my hands out, and I just kind of imagine as if I just had bags on my shoulders and they just fell down off my arms. And I kind of just do this in my mind. And if you're a praying person, then I would recommend following asking yourself for forgiveness, to throwing a prayer up to your creator and asking him for forgiveness and thanking him for helping you to let go of those negative emotions. And see if doing that process helps those gremlins not come back over and over and over. Even doing that, you may have multiple emotions that are coming up about a certain gremlin. Tackle them one at a time. Maybe the frustration is the for one you do today, tomorrow's anger, and it's all generated from the same gremlin that just keeps coming up. I wanted to make sure I told you that, and I hadn't intended, and sorry to go into, but I hope that's helpful. That must be something that someone needed to hear, because I felt pretty strongly to keep giving you that detail and that instruction. So I hope that whoever needed to hear that, that is helpful. Let me know how that goes. And this week I'll do a post that posts, it'll be a PDF download. It's not part of this program. It's just part of one of my mentoring tools that I share with my one-on-one mentoring clients. And I'll go ahead and share that with you guys if you don't mind. Will you guys accept that? Great. Okay. Awesome. It's true, right? Camille says one at a time is helpful, and that is true. That is totally true. All right, one more thing about the thoughts. This is the point also, we're at week 3, and this is the point also where you might start to feel like you're getting behind. Anyone that is having feelings of getting behind, I just want you to recognize that if you say I'm behind, I'm late, I haven't gotten everything finished, I haven't even listened to last week's call, I want you to recognize that that is a gremlin trying to stop you and discourage you from staying with the program. It does not matter if you have done all of the steps on your checklist. That is why I include everything that's needful on the checklist from week 1 to the current day. so that you have the opportunity to check off the things that you have. And I don't think I've ever told you this, but do you know why I use the big boxes on my checklists? Because I'm someone who likes to look at my checklist and say, I don't just check a box. I'll make a little X in there and I'll color in 1/4 of it, because I'm like, I've thought about doing that. I'm 1/4 done, you know, and I'll color in half of the box, because it shows me that I'm being intentional. It makes me actually stop and evaluate. I just want you guys to recognize that just the simple awareness that you're gaining by participating in these mentoring sessions, and by continuing to move through week to week, even if you're still working on what we talked about in week 1 or week 2, as you move forward, please recognize those feelings of behind as gremlins, and just realize that the knowledge that you're getting, whether you've implemented everything or not, that knowledge plus you trying to implement what you can and being self-compassionate is going to change you. You are no longer going to be the person that you were before you had the information. And that is such good news. You are making progress. It is those 1% that I am constantly telling you. In fact, I posted that in Simply Inspired Solutions Day too. I can't tell you how vital that 1% focus needs to be. Do not beat yourself up over being behind, okay? And as you're moving through things, like right now we're talking a lot about daily do's, right? And so that's you setting the example with your kids. If you aren't to where you have everything perfect, you can still start introducing things to your family. All you have to do is admit, like it's in our week 1 and 2 intention. You share your struggles and your strengths, okay? So basically you just are open and honest and being like, hey, I'm working on this too. And all you have to do is be 1% ahead of them. That's another way you can look at the 1%, is you don't have to be perfect before you can invite your family to work and start doing stuff with you. So in this program, I'm helping you to focus on things to improve, but you do not have to have each step perfect before you can move on to the next, because you're never, maybe I shouldn't even think about that. Don't think about this as steps, like you move from step to step. Think of it as like a circle. Well, actually, we started thinking about that. It's your ripple, right? When you move on to the next stage, it still includes everything in the beginning. So you're never like completely finished with a stage. You might have to not think as much about a stage because it becomes second nature, but it doesn't mean that it goes away and you don't ever have to do it again. Does that make sense? And so you can invite your family to move along with you. I've got to get used to reading these chats. I want to like read what everyone says. And I have to say, when you do, I'm sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought because I looked at the chat. I do have to tell you that after the meeting, after our mentoring session, I'm able to download the chat, and I do read through every single person's comment. So if I don't comment to you in response right this minute in real time, know that if you are commenting, I do hear them, and I so appreciate you guys being involved and active during our session. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, daily do's. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be 1% ahead of the person that you're mentoring, and those are your children. Okay, so yeah, I just don't want you to feel behind. Okay, then week 2, we focused on your language. Oops, I'm using my wrong mouse. I have 2 mouses here because I'm mouses. I just said mouse. Tannen's laughing at me. I'm laughing at myself. That's funny. Okay. Week 2, we focused on language. And we're focusing on language that's combating your negative and judgmental language. I responded to a post in the Facebook group today. I know a lot of you really resonated with the good job. We talked about good judgment as well as negative judgment last week. I kind of mentioned the good judgment. I want to just give everybody permission to kind of not focus on the replacing good judgment with honest observation. That is something we are totally going to do in another couple weeks when we are really actively encouraging and inspiring our kids to help make changes themselves. Right this minute, we're really focusing on, in the language, I really want you to focus on correcting negative labeling and negative judgmental language. So I just don't want you to be overly concerned about catching yourself saying good job every 5 minutes and forgetting to be looking for opportunities to share some hokey language. And I want to reiterate, I said this in our live Q&A, it doesn't have to be spontaneous. You can hear something in your own, whether it's in your own mind or something one of your kids says or something that you say, and then you can stop and think about it and then come back and kind of plan a conversation in order to be able to bring it up. That's why I said look for opportunities, not be perfectly spontaneous about, you know, instant comebacks. I'm not that good about it. I have to actually stop and think. But your biggest tool is going to recognize you don't have to be perfect in the moment. That is why you model sharing your struggles and your strengths, because you can always self-correct. It is so awesome that you can stop and say, you know, after I think about it, what I should have said, instead of saying blah, 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 whatever it was you said, or whatever someone else has said, we should have said, and give an explanation. You're still modeling compassion. You're still modeling that hokey language that shows self-compassion and shows that you recognize that growth is totally natural. Making a mistake and correcting it, oh my gosh, that is such a perfect thing to model as a mom. Because your kids will relate to you, seeing you imperfect and seeing you struggle and not giving up, but allowing yourself the opportunity to do over. And so it's huge, okay? So finally, this week, we are going to put it into action. Our daily mindset practice, we're going to put into action, and this is where we're going to talk about our worthiness. Okay, I need to set, if you've read through this, I'm just going to briefly kind of give you some context a little bit, and then we're going to talk about self-care. Our action this week is going to be intentional self-care and recovery. What does this have to do with our worthiness? How does it, when we take care of ourselves and we make sure that we recover and don't hit burnout, how does that teach our kids that we're all worthy? Well, how this teaches your kids that they are worthy and that you think you are worthy is you actually model that you believe that you actually love yourself. You do not care for things that you don't care about. You don't take care of things you don't really care about, right? You take care of the things that you love. You do things like you are constantly taking care of your kids, right? You're constantly doing whatever you can, and maybe you really love some display in your house, and you are always telling your kids to be careful and not touch it, or not bounce the ball in the house, or not do this because you don't want such and such to get ruined. You model all the time that you take action and do things for the things that you care about. So what are you modeling that you care about? And this is some place that we so often unintentionally model that we're the exception, that we do not believe that we are worth attention. We don't believe that we are worth taking care of. We model that we're second-class citizens. We eat last, we rest last, we get dressed last, we take care of ourselves last, we do have fun last. We don't even have fun, you know? And I gave you an example of one of those thought spirals. I hope you recognize what these thought spirals are. These are just a hypothetical of when a kid observes something, or anybody observes an action or something going on, there is a subconscious spiral, or an elevate inspired thinking. It can go either way. But when they recognize and observe something, even without consciously knowing it, they are internalizing and making sense of it. And this thought spiral, if they see mom neglecting herself, not caring for her needs, and hitting burnout, their subconscious will stop and think, well, don't we take care of things that we love? Oh, she must not love herself. I wonder why. Are you not worthy of love? Like, why wouldn't you love yourself? Are you not worthy of love? I thought she told me that everybody was. If you're modeling this to your kids, or you're telling this to your kids, they're thinking, and even on a subconscious level, does she really believe what she's telling me? Because if she believes what she's telling me, wouldn't she care about herself, right? And then why don't you feel worthy of love? Then it creates confusion. Maybe I'm not worthy of it either. Maybe it's not really true for me too. I don't know what to think. I'm lost. I'm confused. I feel unsafe. I feel scared. I'm insecure. I'm unmotivated. I'm sad. Do you see how, like, it is a kind of a graphic spiral, but it really can be that quick. So we are going to turn that around, and I'm wanting you to be intentional about modeling that you believe that you are worthy of love. Therefore, your children are worthy of love, and everyone else is worthy of love, because you treat yourself with love and care. You're going to model that you are worth taking time for. Okay. And I threw this in here because I feel like there may be a few of you out there wondering when we're going to get to this work system that our children are going to get all this. We're going to help get our children organized and going on getting all the stuff in our home that needs to be done. And I wanted to throw this in right here because I wanted you to recognize how these foundational pieces, how they are not just fluff. They are not, well, I know they don't feel fluffy. They actually feel hard and heavy, I'm assuming, but I hope that you can see hope through them. But if you've never seen this before, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I put, and you can see different versions of this, but I went ahead and put some explanations off to the side that apply specifically to this program, because what we've been working on are, modeling, taking care of our own basic needs, and you're going to be teaching your children here in the next week or so about taking care of their own basic needs and making sure that you're providing those things and taking care of them with it as a family, as well as creating the safety. That's what there's no prerequisites for worthiness is. It's safety. It's feeling like no matter what, and no, it's not if I get my chores done, I'm lovable. No, you're lovable just because you are worthy of being loved, and you belong in this family, no matter what your contribution is. When you feel, if you look at this pyramid, it is the levels of human needs that motivate certain behaviors. And if you notice, your family accomplishing things and being productive and everything, that's close to the top. And your family culture and having meaningful, having family purpose, and that's at the very top. So there are these foundational things that we've got to address. And a lot of it, people go right to the how-tos, those systems and those let's get something done, let's accomplish something. And they don't know why it doesn't work. And then they create all these gremlins inside their head that it's something wrong with them. When really they're not addressing those levels and those foundations beforehand. So that's why I threw this in here. You can read through it. I might refer back to it as we go on to other weeks, but I wanted you to see how everything that we're doing is building on another. And I do want to reiterate, I did say this before when I was talking about feeling behind, but I also want you to remember that it's not an actual construction project. The first, you don't have to have the first level perfectly solid, built, never to be touched again, and you build up. It is something that you're adding pieces to and expanding all the time. Okay, so we are working on all of the levels all at the same time, but you can't ignore the foundations completely and expect to have a level of accomplishment or purpose when you don't have those safety, you don't have those basic needs in place, you don't have safety, and you don't have love and belonging. Okay? All right, intentional self-recovery and self-care and recovery. All right, so some of you are thinking, I do not have time to take care of myself. I want you to write that down. It went through everyone's head. I know you did. I know you thought of it. And there is going to be a lot of new gremlins about this category. But you're going to remember, when you take care of yourself and model this, you're giving your kids permission to believe that you know every person in your family is worthy. It's creating that level of safety in order for your other building blocks. Remember that. You're creating safety by taking care of yourself. Actually, that is huge. I'm going to say it again. You are creating safety in your home, a structure and consistency of safety that your family can count on, because you're modeling that you take care of yourself. Okay? You take care of yourself and you give yourself proper recovery. Now, most of us, you might be thinking, oh, I watched 5 hours of TV yesterday. I totally give myself a break. I don't need a break for another week. I wasted 5 hours yesterday. You know, like something like that. You might have those kind of thoughts coming into your mind. And this is why we're going to talk about intentional versus reactional. Because most of us, it's impossible for you to not have to recover. Everyone has to recover, but your body, you will either do it as a reaction, like getting ill, or maybe burning out and crashing, not being able to wake up, not having any motivation to do something. Like procrastination is a huge reaction to lack of self-care and recovery. Anybody feeling like they deal with procrastination? Anybody procrastination familiar to anyone? Okay. Well, procrastination or numbing, where you just let everything go, where you're like 100% or it's either all or nothing with you. If you feel like you have those patterns of all or nothing in your life, it's because you're neglecting self-care and recovery. Those are reactions. That is your body forcing you into recovery. That's your mind forcing you into recovery. Colette, you'll answer the procrastination question in a minute. I love that. You're so funny. I really can't look at the chat. I can only get I gotta learn how to do this. But it's okay. I'm getting better at it. I will get better at it. Huh. Tannen laughs at something. Yes, she said she's sorry she laughed. Tannen is sitting here with me, and she laughs at something. So then I look to see what she laughed at, and that's where I get in trouble. Anyway, reactionary, when you react, when you let yourself go and go and go and burn yourself out to the point that your body forces you to recover, a couple of things really go wrong. Okay, and that is another incentive beyond giving creating the safety for your family. But when you do it involuntarily, a lot of the times it takes longer. It is more time consuming because you've hit crash. So you can't just do it for a little bit amount of time. You have to do it until you've done it so long that you can literally pick yourself back up. That is a huge waste of time. You think you don't have time to self-care if you wait till you get crashed. Or what if you get sick and you're sick for 2 or 3 days? Or, you know, that's a perfect example of your body making you recover, and it's way too time consuming. The other thing is, when it's reactionary, it often makes you feel bad. It makes you feel guilty. Like you get to the end of it, say you did watch 5 hours of TV yesterday. If you did it involuntarily because you could not make yourself be motivated to do anything else, it's a good sign of that you needed some self-care and recovery. But because it was reactionary, you left the end of the night, got up and from watching TV, and you felt guilty. You felt bad about yourself. You felt like you were lazy and had all these horrible labels that going through your head. Instead, if you had done that exact same thing, say you had yesterday said, you know what, I have had a huge busy week, and I am totally just going to give myself permission to veg for like the next 5 hours and binge watch, you know, fill in the blank TV show. If you had done that exact same thing, but first given yourself permission and went into doing it with the mindset of, I am taking care of myself, and actually saying that to yourself, saying it to other people, you know, whatever, being intentional, you would have left that night, got off the TV or got up from watching TV and been like, wow, that felt awesome. I so needed that. Instead of doing it in a reactionary way and ending with guilt and negative feelings. That is huge. It's a huge difference. The big key here is intention. When you actually plan it, or you actually give yourself permission to do it, you have entirely different results. It is so amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've had to teach myself this and actually see the difference. You have to decide that you're worth it and actually put it into a plan. It needs to be voluntary. You need to, you can pick, and when you plan it, you can pick when it's most convenient instead of it happening when it's not in your control. Like I know I keep saying getting sick, but getting sick is a big one. People burn themselves out and get sick. And being sick is totally inconvenient, and it can go on to other people in your family. And I'm not saying that self-care and recovery is always the cause of illness. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of, we all know there's lots of cause to illness, so please don't take that offensively. But it could be contributing to the frequency and the length of time it takes to get through, common illnesses and stuff like that. Anyway, so when you plan it, it's convenient. You can control the time because you can say, I'm going to do it for this amount of time. And it's more effective. You enjoy it. You end up feeling refreshed and nurtured and motivated. You'll be healthier. You'll be happier, more empowered, encouraged. And on top of it, you will be creating safety in your home by modeling how much you love yourself, how lovable and worthy you are of being cared for, because that's what you want your kids to believe about themselves, and they have to know it. They will not believe it unless they believe you believe it. Okay? So this week, your challenge is, it's not going to be a challenge. Well, it might be a challenge to some of you, but it doesn't have to be a challenge. You're going to not make it be a challenge. You're going to embrace it because you know how important it is. You are going to look at I included in your resources a self-care and recovery bucket list. Okay, if you already know the things that make you feel wonderful and rejuvenate you, you don't have to use the bucket list. Some of you, it's very, very, very common as moms that we are not in the practice of caring for ourselves. We are not in the practice of taking time to recover every day. And so you may be like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. So I just included this list to kind of spark some ideas. The list is not comprehensive. I put on there some of my favorite things, some of the things that I'm always talking with clients about, and friends and family members, and how I know of other women recovering, and just, you know, some of the things that I always talk about with my kids and stuff like that. So it's just an idea list. I left a lot of open space for you to add your own things, and I kind of put it into categories to kind of spark some ways, or, you know, depending on your personality type or the way you recover, you know, based on how you move through your life, your energy, different things will appeal to different people. Okay, just wanting you to, I want you to go through there, and I want you to pick something that you're going to do this week to help you recover. I want you to choose at least one activity that you're going to plan to do each day, and then I want you to schedule it. So it does not have to take a long time. It can be 5 minutes. It can be a 15-minute thing. It does not have to be hours. Or you can pick, I want you to do something every day, but you can pick something bigger through the week if you want to. Obviously, you're not going to get a massage every day. If you want to get a massage this week, high five. Make that one of your day's things you do. You don't have to do the same thing every day. You can do the same thing every day. It's up to you. Just pick something. I want you to schedule it through the day, and I want you to immediately tell your action partner what you're going to do. And I want you to tell your family what you're doing and why. And what this means is I want you to be, when you sit, if you decide to sit down and read a book for a half hour, you're going to say, hey, I'm just letting you know, I'm putting my headset on and I can't hear you. I'm not going to be answering questions because I'm taking a break. I'm taking a much needed mom break because I need to take care of myself so that I can be the best mom and the best wife and the best business owner, or the best person, you know, whatever you want to say, you know, that you can be, whatever you want to, however you want to describe yourself, that I can be. And I really need to take care of myself so that I can be that, and so I can show up and be that. You know, let your family know why you're doing it. You are being very visible. You are doing it out in the open. You know, maybe if you don't need to go and say, I think I'm going to go take a hot shower, wake someone up at night to tell them you're going to go take a shower. But you can always say, you know what, I took the best 15-minute shower. I just let the hottest water run on my shoulder, and it was like stress was just rolling off my back, and it was so rejuvenating. I slept like a baby last night. I mean, that is being visible. It's telling your family that you're taking care of yourself. Okay, so that is going to be a huge challenge to you, but that is where we're going with our mindset this week. Moving on to our vision. Okay, our vision work this week. So we've been thinking about what our family culture looks like in our own mind, and we've been kind of creating this hopeful vision of what it can be. We're going to start bringing some inspiration to our family. And I know it's Easter this week, so people who celebrate Easter, you may have already fun things planned for that holiday. And if that is true, then maybe you don't need to do this week. You could maybe do it next week. I make it adaptable to you. But I want you to, well, coming up in the next week, we are going to, like this says, we're going to be hosting kind of a family rally where you're going to be talking about kind of like, you're going to be leading a discussion with your family, and I'm going to teach you how to do that next week, so don't panic or anything. I'm going to give you really good instructions and clear tips and guidelines to help you do this, where you're going to have kind of a little rally meeting, family council, whatever you want to call it, with your family, where you're going to start establishing what your family culture looks like, what is important to you, what you know, creating like a motto or a creed, or what defines you guys as a family. You're just going to have a fun little family meeting and kind of come up with these things. So, because it's going to be that foundation where everyone's like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what we should do. Yeah, you know, that kind of thing. But as laying, like priming the pump. What is that? Is that what it's called? When you like have to prime the lawnmower before you start it? This week, this fun family night is priming the pump, or well, anyway, I don't know if that's the right term, but you know what I mean. You're lubricating, making it well, making it easy to start that lawnmower. That's a dumb analogy. It's okay. But anyway, this is your priming the pump. You are going to have a fresh fun family experience in your minds so that they have a good family, like a recent positive family experience that is fresh in their mind. You don't need to make a big deal about pointing out why you're doing it or anything like that. You're just going to spontaneously have a family fun night. And I included a family fun kit you can use or not use. It's totally up to you. The reason I included it is because, you know, it can be something that you guys do all the time. My family is huge movie buffs. I am a movie girl, and I am going to be unapologetic about it. I am a huge movie buff, so watching a movie as a family, not a rare occurrence, okay? But there are ways even I can make that we do this all the time, that even I can make it different or fun. And that's what this kind of little kit is whether it's you're getting together to have a game night, or you're going to have a slapjack tournament, or, you know, it can be something just as simple as that. It's also a way, using that fun kit, where you can like have, like the idea is that you can, you know, advertise it. So you can have it something that is up all week on your inspiration board, and I'll show you in a minute. I have a diagram, which you've already seen if you have the module, where you can advertise on your command station that something's going to be happening in the week to come. You can give invitations. You can involve your kids in the planning. And actually, this is a superpower tip. Okay? I put this down here. The more people that you involve in planning this, so it's you as a mom, you really know what the whole thing is going to be like. You don't have to get there necessarily. You can get their input if you want, but a lot of the times that can get out of your hands. But you can ask to delegate different pieces. So for instance, you could ask one of your kids to cut out the invitations and sneak them into everyone's room under their, you know, put them on everyone's pillows without them noticing. You could have someone be in charge of refreshments or concessions at your family night. You could ask somebody if they want to be the ticket taker at the family night, and, you know, give them a funny hat to wear, and hand them out and have them ask for everyone to bring their tickets when they come. You know what I mean? You can do something that just makes it a little different. It can be the same thing you always do, but just elevated it. Just elevated it just a little bit. That doesn't take a lot of your time. If that's why this is a superpower tip to get volunteers, because it not only makes it easier on you to plan, it starts to it makes your children and the people involved more invested in the actual outcome of the family night. And it's easier to learn to practice working together on something fun and cooperating, doing something fun. And that way, cooperation is not going to be unfamiliar when you start to need it to get work accomplished. Okay, so this is, I hope you guys have fun with this, but this is just priming that pump. If you already have things planned for Easter, use those same principles, that same superpower tip for the Easter planning or activities you're doing for Easter. Just elevate it a little bit, get people involved, and help your families have a little bit of a fresh, fun family thing to have in their minds when you go to do your rally that we're going to talk about next week. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for vision. Now we're going to go to our daily do's. So our habits, we've been working this week on getting ready for the day, and we're doing our daily do. We're starting to model daily do's by making our bed every day, getting dressed, hair, teeth, face, all done every single day. Okay. I want you to continue working on those. It does not matter how successful you were at it last week. We're just making progress. We're doing what we can. And this week, the one thing I want you to add is I want you to start sharing your experience with your family. So say you had a really productive day last week because you had one day that you got up, got ready, and got everything done, and not got everything done, just got going, and you felt like really productive that day. You know what? Take the opportunity to be like, you know what? Just share with your family. Just say, you know what? Yesterday I got up, I did blah, 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 and say what you did, and say, it made me feel so much more productive. It was awesome. You're just sharing your feelings and your benefits and the results that you're having. You know, tell them, you know what, if you notice, Ma, I've been making my bed every day, you've got to come and see this. Come here, come look how pretty my bed looks. You know, I mean, if it's something you do always, be like that, you know, maybe not be something you can really point out to your kids, but there's got to be some part of your daily dues that you have elevated that you can be like, oh, this made a difference. Because you need to start modeling and being visible about what you're modeling. And nothing's better than just taking the opportunity to call it out to their attention, just like they were your buddy. Okay, this is the place in parenting that buddy works, because it's not about them, it's about you. And relationships are foundational when you share what's going on in your life. You want your kids to relate to you? Tell them you're working on something. Show them that you have the same things to do that they have to do. Okay? So I want you to take that up a notch. I also, and actually maybe I'll do this in the Q&A afterwards. Tannen, will you remind me? I saw some questions on the Facebook group about these room and groom types of things with small children. And I have some tips and ideas that I'll give you, but we'll do it in the Q&A, and we'll just move through this right now. So this week, we're moving on to adding tidy their personal space. So your personal space, when you're teaching this to your children, is going to be their room, their own personal part of their closet, so their space in their room that they can call their own. I know a lot of kids share rooms, but they all have a bed or some space that they can call their own, whether it's the things where their clothes go, or where their shelf in the bookshelf, or whatever it is. Whatever you call your own, your room and your closet. A lot of times people will have a designated bathroom. You as a parent, you probably have a master bathroom, or one that you designate that you use. So that's also your personal space, as well as if you have a desk or an office or something like that, that also is your own. These are all your personal space. But right now, I want you to focus on your bedroom and your bathroom. Well, the bedroom and your closet. If you have a master bath, we'll get to that. Sorry, I misspoke. I want you to focus on bedroom and closet, okay? So I want you to look around your bedroom. If your bedroom is sparkling clean, high five, but I bet you your closet isn't. If it is, even more high five. Be excited and just look for if there's anything you can do to elevate it. If you're looking around at your room, I remember back when I first was feeling overwhelmed by not having this kind of a system in my home. My room was like the multifunctional room. It was the laundry room, my bedroom, my office, my everything. And like, it was just the overflow, of everything. And it felt impossible to take care of, because there were so many, it was being used for so many purposes. It's used for so many purposes. And so I just want you to not look at the room as, I want to say dehumanize, but that's not the right words. I want you to break it down and not look at it as a whole. I want you to look at individual pieces. I want you to look around your room and categorize it and look and say, what are the clutter creators around here? Do you have miscellaneous papers everywhere? I know, in fact, you can see on my bedroom picture that I posted, paper is one of my husband's nemesis. He still has not bought into my paper system as well as I have. And if you look, you can zoom in on my picture and you can see his shelf has paper clutter that's on his side of the bed that I posted my picture on. So maybe paper is one of yours. Maybe clothes are one of your nemesises. Maybe it's storage bags, or like things that you don't know where they're supposed to go, that they're looking for a home in your house, whatever. You decide. I want you to evaluate what are your clutter creators, and then I want you to tackle each category of clutter creators. If you have paper, and this is such good news. I'm so excited to tell you this, and hopefully you already knew or kind of had this on your radar, but on week 6, it is when we don't have a regular mentoring session. It's a catch-up week. It's a week to kind of be putting more things into place. And it is the week that is going to be the bonus training of becoming a paper pile annihilator, okay? So if you have paper in your room, that is a huge problem in creating clutter. I want you, for now, because we already have a plan of when we're going to tackle it, I want you to just get an extra box or basket or something, or bag, and I want you to collect all the paper in your room. I don't want you to look at it. I don't want you to sort it. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can. I guess you can throw things away if you want. But if you don't want to have to think about it, you just want to clean it up as fast as you can, go ahead and dump everything in that box. If you're looking for something between now and then, you know where to find it because everything's in one place, right? I wouldn't typically tell you to do that if you didn't have a plan for to take care of it, but we are going to have a plan to take care of it because I'm going to teach you that in just 2 more weeks. So well, is it 2 weeks? I guess it is 2 weeks, right? Go ahead and do that, and then that is one problem you can take care of. But go ahead and just ask yourself, what do you need to be able to handle that different types of clutter or things that are creating clutter in your room? Is it clothes? If it's clothes, this week, we have our bonus training on Friday. It's going to be at noon. I was going to do it on Facebook Live, but I think I'm going to go ahead and create a webinar and register you all for it and send you the link. And I will post the link also in the Facebook group because I think I want to use slides instead of just doing it Facebook Live. So I'm going to, we are going to have our invisible laundry bonus training on Friday. And we are going to tackle individual or what to do with clothes in your closet and in your room and how to take care of them and put together a system in your family for laundry to make it not a visible chore in your house. Oh, it's awesome. No, it is awesome because it just doesn't bother. Once it's invisible, it doesn't bother you. It's easy to do and it's easy to manage. And that is a giant, it is a giant chore that can be checked off your list of things to figure out how to manage because it's going to be invisible and won't be on your back any longer. So anyway, I want you to, I'll be doing some posts in the Facebook group this week asking you about what are some of those clutter creators, and we can tackle them individually if you're needing help. What do you need? Do you need a system? Do you just need to declutter and get rid of the excess? Do you need space to find, are you needing to declutter some other area in your home so that you can create space for the things you have? I think decluttering is a perfect way of solving most mess problems. It's hard to find space for something when you're not sure if you need to keep it all. Does that make sense? So in our my Simply Inspired Solutions Sisterhood group, which hopefully you noticed that I changed the name. It is the same group. It's just changed it to kind of give us a description of who is there, not just that it's a business, because it's not. It's a community. And in that, I did an entire month where I took one category a day to help you declutter your house in 30 minutes. And you can do just one category for 30 minutes a day for 30 days and eliminate tons in your home. All you have to do is you can type in the search bar hashtag P2P, the letter P, the number 2, the letter P, and it was from piles to peace is what that stood for, and it will bring up all of the posts. and give you some tips on the different categories and stuff like that. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to. That can help you. That might be something that can help you with tidying your personal space. If you don't feel like you have a lot to declutter in your room and it's just a matter of you putting it as a daily habit, then that is exactly what you should focus on. Okay? And don't get overwhelmed. Like I said, dehumanize it. I don't know, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean by that. Take it down to where you're not seeing it as a whole. You're just breaking it down into manageable bite-sized pieces, those 1%, and what you need to take. And then we're going to talk about clothes. And I just put very simply, care for clothes, put the dirty in the hamper, put clean, hang and fold clean ones. Those are all you need to worry about today, because we'll do the invisible laundry at the end of the week. Your kids make messes in your room. I'm seriously thinking of having it locked all day. That's funny, Susan. Well, whatever you need to do, right? Okay. Yes, it's not a link, Felicia. It's not P2P. It's hashtag P2P. So there on all of the declutter posts on the Simply Inspired Solutions, it's a hashtag. So you can, if you put hashtag P2P in the search bar, in the group search bar that's under the left side menu, then it'll pull up every single post, and it starts with clothes. So it's perfect timing if you want to do that. And it starts with just decluttering a single category of your clothes. So it's based on, it's loosely based on the joy of tidying up. I think the lady has a lot of great advice, but she also tips the scale a little crazy to me. But maybe I sound crazy to you guys. So I don't drink all her Kool-Aid, if that makes sense. I think she's got a wonderful, she's had wonderful results, and I see some really key tips that she gives that I think are genius. And one of them is to focus by category. Absolutely. I think that has been a game changer when it comes to decluttering. In my home and in my life, instead of trying to tackle an area, you tackle a category, and that is what I'm telling you to do in your personal space. Because if you try to just look at your room as a whole and not think, oh, I need to tackle paper, oh, I need to tackle shirts, oh, I need to tackle shoes, just one category at a time. Okay, so last thing is our command station. Whoops. This new format is a little sensitive. Is your command station. Hopefully everybody has obtained either their whiteboard or a frame that they put some, I like a frame because I like it to look a little bit more like a piece, like I've hung a picture or something like that. And I usually just put some really nice, pretty wrapping paper. I know that's funny, but it's the right size to fit in a big frame. So I'll get wrapping paper that I think is nice, and I'll just line the frame with it, and I use the glass as a dry erase. The one drawback of using a frame versus a whiteboard is it is not magnetic, so anything you have to put on it, you have to use tape, but that doesn't bother me particularly, but you can also find whiteboards that have really pretty frames on them too. So whichever works for you. You can also use 4 individual frames to make up the size of what the big whiteboard would be if you want it to, be a little extra customized. I like the idea of having it more flexible with it being all one big board, but totally up to you. Hopefully you've gotten what you're going to use and you've decided where you're going to set your command station up. This week, I want you to go ahead and hang it. I want you to hang the whiteboard probably not low enough that little kids can write on it and use it as their own little board. You want it up high enough that people can see it, but not accessible enough for little kids that aren't going to respect it as an inspiration board and a tool for your system. It's not one for kids to be coloring on and stuff like that. Does that make sense? So go ahead and hang it. Command strips are your friend. I use command strips everywhere and I love them. Anyway, you are going to, okay, here is my example. A lot of you are asking about, you want to see my command station. Well, in my home, we don't use the command station anymore because everyone in my home has already graduated from the chore ticket work system into stewardships. And so this is something that is needed. This station is needed when you are at the stage of teaching and everybody is working through the work system. The youngest person in my household, we have 6 people living in my home right now, 5 of which are adults, and the youngest is 16. So everyone has graduated and moved to the second stage of the program, which I will totally be telling you guys about later on and giving you a glimpse of what that looks like. So that's why I have not been able to just take a picture of my command station for you, because like I said, we no longer use the command station like I did when my kids were younger. And so I'm giving you a diagram here. I am considering making a faux one, but I don't have it made yet, so I can't give you a picture of it. But imagine, I'm going to actually see if I can zoom in on this. I wonder if I can. Maybe if I go out of full screen. Hold on. Does that let me zoom a little better? Can you see that? Can you guys still see my, okay. All right, so this is, the example of this is supposed to be either your frame or your whiteboard. And you don't really have it broken into 4 pieces. It's just hypothetically in 4 pieces, right? This one section is going to be for your vision and inspiration. This is where you're going to be able to put inspiring pictures to help you remind you and your children and your family of good times and good memories and good feelings and happy things. And you know, I have here, I've told you about this picture that I put on there. This is also a picture that we took on a vacation, and it has my 3 kids with their faces through a poster that says the 3 amigos. That just makes me smile because that's totally how my kids are. They are such great buddies, and that is a picture that reminds me that, and it would remind them if they saw it, that that's what they're aiming for, is to be buddies, right? To be the 3 amigos. So this one section is going to be for your vision and inspiration. This section down here is something you're going to do this week. I want you to go ahead and put whatever pictures you want up there. It could be the same ones that you've had to help you keep the vision in your mind. You can just maybe now move them to the command station. But if it could be other ones, it could be, you might be want to keep yours wherever you have it and put more on the command station. That's totally up to you. But I want you to put some pictures up here to start inspiring some interest, okay? Then I want you to write the names of everybody, just with a dry erase marker, the names of everybody in your household. And I just make it a list. This is going to be for tracking certain pieces of your system. For instance, as we talk about laundry this week, like with our family, our household, we have 6 people in our household. Everybody, we don't do everyone's laundry all at once. Everybody has different days that they do their laundry. Not everyone, but like me and my husband do our laundry on a certain day. Tannen and Ash do their laundry on a certain day, and Janae and Christian do their laundry on a certain day. And so that's one of the things that you'll track here, is you'll just put everyone's laundry days. Or another thing you might track in this area is whose turn it is to go first, or different things that we'll talk more about later. I just want you to put their names there, because what your goal this week is to spark some interest of your kids. I want your kids to start seeing this board and be like, what is that, Mom? And all you're going to say is, oh, this is our new command station. Isn't it cool? Don't you like it? And they're like, what is this? Oh, don't worry about that. I'll let you know. Oh, I'll tell you about that soon. You're creating some curiosity and anticipation. You can give them little tidbits, but don't overwhelm them. Let the anticipation kind of build. Another place you can, another quarter of your board is going to be used for like goals or events, upcoming events, or things you're going to do. So maybe you have a trip planned. You maybe put a picture of, you know, Disneyland, or, you know, whatever it is. In fact, I guess I could, to give you a picture of this, we do have that kind of a board in our home. We have a goal board. It's like a family vision board where we post all of our adventures and trips and things like that that we're wanting to plan together, and we put them on the board. And it's in our family room downstairs, and that's where we also hang pictures of our vacations and things like that that we do together, because travel's a big part of my family culture. And so anyway, but that's what this portion of your board is going to be. It's going to be your kind of inspiration, vision board. This is your vision, inspiration. This one's your goals and events that are coming up, or things that projects you're working on. So it could be like vacations, or like your family fun night. That's why I put that there. On the family fun night, I would put any instructions, like on your flyer, there's places for you to put when and time and where you're going to meet or whatever. But you can also put instructions like, if it's, say it's just going to be a movie night, say, bring your ticket, your pillow, and wear your PJs, or, you know, something like that. Or it's going to be outside, or I don't know. Make it something different. And you can you can write whatever you want on this. That's why I advise that you laminate the flyer, because you can use the flyer over and over and over. If you laminate something, it acts like a dry erase. So you laminate it and you can write on it and then erase it and use it another time. So you only have to print it once and you can use it over and over. And when it goes up, the kids know, oh my gosh, there's a family fun night coming up. What are we doing this time? And they'll start getting into the habit of looking forward to something that you always do, right? And then lastly, this top section up here is going to be reserved for your family motto or your family definition, the creeds, or things that we're going to talk about next week when I tell you about having that rally that I mentioned. Okay, so that's why you have this big board. Now, each of these spaces, I put a lot more on the diagram than is needed. Some people only have 1 or 2 kids, or if you have, maybe you have 10 kids. I mean, it doesn't matter how many. You need approximately a 10 by 10 space for each person, including mom and dad. And the reason why mom and dad need it too, so when we get down to tickets, maybe dad doesn't pick tickets with you every time, but there's got to be times when dad is home and is wanting to work together as a family. That's what you're going to aim for. You're going to aim for being all inclusive. And so everybody, if you're expecting everybody to feel that they have an equal contribution in some way, even if dad's contribution doesn't look the same as everybody else's, you want it to appear to the kids that it's all considered equal. And so even you guys will have pouches, and these are something that you'll get really soon, and I will be telling you about some options and some ideas of how to do that. But so these are just blank spaces. I'm just put boxes so you can kind of visualize how you could coordinate them. You want it wherever you put this whiteboard, you want to put it up and you want to envision where you're going to put the pouches. That's why I'm telling you about these spaces, even though we're not talking about the pouches yet. Okay, you just want to say, like, you know, you don't want to only put the board up in a picture collage and there's no space around it. You want the board right where you're going to put your work tickets, pouches, and these are the space that you're going to need for that. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? All right. Well, at least we hit right on our 90 minutes. Questions right now. Carly Ann, you said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because now I can. All right. So how is it different than other gremlins? I feel like I hate to speak my other ones aloud too. Okay. Yes, Camille, I agree. It is the emotions behind the gremlins. So a gremlin is a label, okay? A gremlin is a label or an absolute statement. So I know they're uncomfortable to say sometimes too, but calling them out and saying that they are gremlins, that's why we can share them, because we can be like, this is something I am constantly thinking and I don't believe it's true. It's not the emotions that are like the feelings. The emotions and feelings that you don't want to say to other people are ones that when you say out loud and you really vent them onto other people without the other person's permission. Now, let me make that clear. If you are talking to a confidant or somebody and they have given you permission to unburden themselves in a way, because I know a lot of times I will have a friend or a family member or a sister or somebody that I am like, I need to talk through this with somebody. You know, they are able, if you have their permission, then they have the ability to kind of put up their own kind of energetic barriers to where they're not absorbing or taking on any of the negative. Okay, so I'm not saying you can't share, because I know that you have sisters and people that you love and trust. That is not what I'm saying, but I am saying that you don't want to spew onto somebody without their permission. You want to say it out loud privately. You want to say it out loud privately and capture them, not where other people can hear, and go ahead and get rid of them that way. When you're saying a gremlin, it's different because you're calling out a label. It's not all the emotion or the baggage that goes with it. You're just recognizing it as not true. You're not saying, this is my truth, this is something I can't change. You're saying, oh, this is a gremlin. My gremlin is blah, 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 blah. And so the gremlin is different. The emotions take going deeper and going, more in depth and pulling out that baggage and those roots that give that gremlin strength. That's taking it to a different level. Let me read this really quick. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Camille, I agree with what you said. I just finished reading your comment to Carly Ann's question. Yes, the gremlin is just the label. The going deeper, the emotions and all of that, when you scratch and burn, that is the baggage. So it is going deeper. It's the feelings, the things that fuel the gremlin. It's the things that feed the gremlin, the things that keep making the gremlin come up because they're things you're holding on to. It's like evidence. Maybe that's a good word. Does that make more sense if you say the word evidence? It's the evidence that the gremlin's true. You're mad because, well, I'm trying to think of a spot. Well, I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully the example I gave in, oh, good. Thank you, Camille. Evidence does explain it. Yeah, it's the evidence behind the gremlin. That's what you're exploring, and it's just taking it deeper, thinking of uprooting. You're not just cutting the tree down. You are digging up the roots so it doesn't come back. Okay. Is it negative then to say, I am embarrassed? Let's see. Is it negative to say, I am embarrassed? I think that's more descriptive, because embarrassed is a description of how you're feeling and not who you are. Does that make sense? I feel like you could say, I'm feeling embarrassed. Maybe that would be the loophole there. Does that make sense? Yeah, I am embarrassed. Yeah, I would add feeling. I am feeling embarrassed, because that is just an honest observation. And if it's an honest observation that is not definitive, that you can't change, I am embarrassed. It kind of toes that line, because I am is definitive, but embarrassed really isn't a thing. Embarrassed is a description. So it kind of toes that line. I would just add feeling. All right, Julie, you said both my kids. Okay. Tannen says, Julie, you have 2 questions. I'll look at these. Both my kids are older. Should I wait to start this until you reach the 2nd stage? No. If I give my kids tour tickets, I'll just get laughed at, or that, really, Mom, look, haha. You know what? We still use tour tickets when it's something that's not in someone's stewardship. So my older stage, you have to graduate to the older stage. It's not age, it's how long, where you have moved through the system. So your older kids, when they still need to be able to prove that they know how to do all the work. Now, this is giving you more information than we have a foundation for yet, but the work system is the tickets and things that we use are all to provide a way to allow your children choice and to make sure that all of the work gets done in a timely manner and to where everything gets done on a regular basis. So it's not something that mom has to constantly be figuring out. It's just something that happens in a system. And in order to graduate from tickets, they have to pass off all of the tickets. They have to, so your kids will move through this stage. If you have older children, your kids will move through this stage much faster. But we're going to be laying that foundation of, you know what, our house has not been, we haven't been taking care of our house the way it needs to be taken care of. And we take care of our house because if we do that, then we have time to do the things that we love, which are the family culture things, or the family, the fun, the vision, the things to look forward to, all that stuff that we're inspiring on our command stations, right? And so it's not going to be it won't be as like no big deal as when they're little and they're just excited to be doing something different, but it's still possible. So no, I do not think you should wait. I would just keep moving through, and as we come to different stages of actually creating your system, Julie, I will help you problem solve through that. That's not a problem. And I will keep that in mind, because I have on the last week's survey, everyone who responded let me know the ages of their kids. That's why I had that question in there. So I can get a good gauge of the span of who is participating. So I know when I'm giving instructions and in our mentoring session, I can target you specifically about, with different ages of kids. And so I know that what the information I'm giving is very applicable to the people that are participating. And I know we have people from brand new moms that have no children at all, that are just budding mothers, to grandmothers in our group. And so we have a big span and every demographic in there. So I promise you that you should have advice come your way that is specific to your stage also. So don't worry and don't give up, okay? So I got both of yours. All right, Susan, how old do kids need to be to take part in these tickets? I would imagine my infant would need a space, but a 2 or 3 year old, you know what? Your infant wouldn't need a space, but you're going to want to anticipate it, because they're not going to be an infant forever. Yes, a 2 or 3 year old for sure. If they can walk, they need to take a pouch. No one should feel excluded. A baby is very different. Babies, no, but anticipate that they will need a space. So be thinking about that ahead of time, okay? And yeah, little, it's perfect. If they're 1 year old and can walk, then yeah, they need a pouch. Because even if they are not little enough to understand what's going on, 6 months later, they move so fast at that age. So yeah, go ahead and make space. Make sure you're anticipating the space for everybody. And I would make it now, even for a 2 or 3 year old for sure. What if you believe the gremlins, truly believe? Okay, Claudia, this is a big one, because I'm going to have to go a little oola rula deep. I know you, so I know your belief system, and so I'm going to go spiritual on y'all. And so if this isn't your thing, I just disregard. But since Claudia is the one who's talking to this, I'm going to talk directly to this. Okay. A gremlin that labels you in a negative light is never a label that has come from your Heavenly Father or your Creator, okay? Therefore, it cannot be true, all right? So let me think of an example. A gremlin is something like, I am fat. Okay, here, look, this is a perfect example. You with your own real life mind can see that I am an overweight woman, right? That my body is not thin. So I could say, I am fat. And I could think, because my eyes see that I have more weight than my body should healthily carry, that I am fat is a true belief, okay? But that is not who I am on a spiritual level. That is not how I was created. That is something that is a result that can be changed. Does that make sense? There is, if it is not who you were created to be, your Creator did not create you with flaws that cannot be helped or cannot be affected, cannot be changed. They might be challenges. They may be things that are harder than others. They may be things that realities in your life. I mean, I could say I'm fat because my genes, everyone in my family is overweight. I could say that we were just created that way. That's who we are. But the fact is, I am not fat. I have the truth is, I have neglected making my weight a priority. That's true. I've neglected making my weight a priority. That's the truth. My spirit, who I am, is not truly and honestly reflected by my outward appearance. I can still affect that with making my actions towards that gremlin or that truth affect it. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's taking it too far for you or for anybody else. I just do not believe that there are negative gremlin labels that you could convince me are absolute truth. I don't even believe that I am fat. I know I keep saying that, but that is one of those, that's one that you could be like, it is true, look at you. That's a perfect example of how that, if I were to say that and believe that as a 100% truth, it would be, I could not do anything about it. And that is absolutely false. I could do something about it by making it a priority to have my weight and my health a bigger focus in my everyday life. That's absolutely true. And do you see the difference? Let me know if you can see the difference. Oh, all right. So and Claudia, if you have one that you truly believe and you feel like you would like some specific advice about, and if you feel brave enough, go ahead and post it on the Facebook group and I can give feedback that everybody can have. Otherwise, you may want to reach out and maybe we could set up some kind of a one-on-one or something like that, or give me it specifically and I can answer it anonymously in one of our Q&As or something like that. Okay. All right, Felicia, Command Center, what are the pouches for? What are command strips? Okay, command strips, one, are a brand of adhesive. Command strips are a brand. They're sticky. I have one right here somewhere. I use them all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if I have one right here somewhere. Anyway, they're the ones that I use look like Velcro, and they have sticky on the back and on both sides. And the reason I use them is because you're able to remove them from paint without damaging your paint. Do read the directions though, because they stick really well and you have to remove them the correct way, and they really don't mess your paint up. They don't rip holes in your walls or anything like that. So that's why I say command strips are your friend, because you can put anything up on your wall and not worry about it being hurt. I like I said, I like the ones that are look like Velcro, and you can get them at Walmart, you can get them at craft stores, you can get them almost anywhere. Look in your hardware section or in like by frames or decorations and stuff like that. Oftentimes I'll buy them at like Michael's or Michael's craft stores and use a coupon and get command strips. I buy them at Costco. They have big packages of them at Costco. Anyway, they are my friend. I use them for almost everything because it's just easy. I can put them up and I don't have to worry about, you can reposition them, because you can move the Velcro, so I don't have to worry about nails in the walls or making things permanent. I used to not put things on my walls or I used to hesitate to put things on my walls because I felt like if you put a hole in it or drilled something like that, it was so permanent, and it made it feel like I didn't have the option to make a change without having to repaint or something. That's why I use command strips. The pouches, the pouches are going to be where you put your chore tickets for the actual chore work system. So the pouches, they're just a simple, in fact, if you're where, well, that's okay, never mind. I will probably be including them in the materials. I haven't decided I'm going to do it next week or the week after. It may be next week. And I have just a printable one that you can make really simple. I'll also give you some ideas if you want to make it cutesier or something like that to make it more decorative. I think I didn't spend a lot of time making them more permanent because, quite frankly, it feels like you don't use them forever, and then it's easy to just throw them away if you use the ones that I'm giving you. But anyway, it's something that you're going to move your work tickets to help manage the system. Each person will have their own tickets that they've chosen, and that it helps you. They use it to say what is they still have to do and what they've already done, and that's what makes it easy and manageable, where mom doesn't have to micromanage everything, because at a glance she can see who still has things to do. And also gives you an indication. It helps keep it all organized, helps it to where mom knows where everything is and is able to, at a glance, see where every person in her family is on doing the work that needs to be done. And it just really is one of those key elements that frees up your mind to where you don't have to be over micromanaging everything that's going on in your house. It also helps you as mom to just keep track of everything and make sure that things aren't lost. You give tickets out to everybody and they take them to where they are doing their jobs, and pretty soon you don't have any tickets anymore because they've gotten lost other places. It's just one of those things. Keep everything organized, and you'll be understanding a little bit more in the future. But that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. All right, Angela, what if you do something about it, but it doesn't seem to change? What if you do something about it? What are you talking about? Are you talking about gremlins? Let's see. Oh, gremlins. Okay, thanks, Angela. Okay. What if you do something about it, but it doesn't seem to change? I would say that it doesn't seem to change sounds like a gremlin in and of itself. Seeing it as, okay, I'm taking this a little deeper. How do I say this to help you understand? Okay, it's like someone losing weight but still feeling fat. You feeling fat is a perception. That is a choice and a gremlin. It is, like Heather said in the chat, it is based on our culture and our perception of what it means to feel fat or not be fat. You know me because you're my dear friend, and you know that I mean, using this fat example, if the way you say it, okay, so okay, sorry, the way you say it makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so someone trying to lose weight but still feeling fat, if you recognize it as change in motion, in progress, you're making it sound like it has to be a finished product before it can be recognized as good. And that is a perception. Perception is that there is a perfect version of this instead of celebrating the progress and celebrating the now and living in the present. That's the same thing as if I, like I was saying, you know me, as if I just said, I will buy cute clothes when I lose weight. I would look like a scrounge, but do I look like a scrounge every day? No. I wear clothes, I buy clothes and wear clothes that make me feel good at the size I am today, because my perception is that I can make progress anytime I put my time and attention towards it. I can influence this change when it is a priority in my life. It is not who I am. It is not an absolute. It is not on something that is impossible to see progress in. If you're doing something about something, you are not focusing on the 1% if you cannot celebrate every step you are towards making that change. You are putting an unrealistic expectation that there is a finish line and a level of perfection that is the only acceptable answer. And I think that is a very destructive view that will be very discouraging. And I would really encourage, so I really would encourage you is to recognize and celebrate the progress points. It really does come back to that 1% principle instead of worrying about it having a finished, checked, done. Don't worry about it being a results-oriented. Don't worry about being a results-oriented person. Worry about being a progress-oriented person. Okay? Is that helpful? All right. Let's see. Julie, you have one more question? Are you typing? I don't see your other question, Julia. Well, let's see. Okay. I am labeled as a zebra because when you hear hooves, you think horse. I am labeled as a zebra. Getting there, sorry. Because when you hear hooves, you think horse. So I'm waiting for the rest of your question. With my health, I've always been the exception or had the most bizarre things happen to me. Okay. What's your actual question? I don't have any way to bring you to unmute you, do I? I don't think I do. So are you asking for help on how to combat the label as zebra? If that's your question, if that's what I'm understanding, is that you feel your label is that you are always the exception. That is coming from the idea that you are supposed to be compared to someone other than yourself. Okay, so the exception, any of the advice or tools or things that you're hearing are not you compared to other people. It is you compared to you. So you are not an exception in your life. Your life is your unique life. And the experience that you are having, the experiences that you are having, and the lessons in life and knowledge and experience that you are gaining through the challenges that you have been with your health and different things like that, they are yours uniquely. They are not yours compared to someone else. Does that make sense? So I would say your combat for that would be something like, I give myself permission to be who I am and live my unique life and purpose. I think I did a couple of these in the Facebook group for you about on the Compassion Whispers list, but that's exactly, just be thinking, some of them that I put on there for you really do combat this same thing. You just need to read them with this gremlin in mind. When you're reading, in fact, that's a good advice for everybody. When you're reading your Compassion Whispers and you're reading your permission slips, think about the gremlin that is tackling. If you have a gremlin that keeps coming up, say, I am not the exception because I give myself permission, blah, 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 blah. I am not an exception or a zebra because and read your Compassion Whisper. So go back and look at that post, because I'm pretty sure I put a couple in there that I think would tackle this exact same thing for you, but I don't have my Facebook pulled up, so I can't remember exactly what they are. But does that make a sense? Because I do think it is a gremlin. I do not think it is a fact. I think it's only feels true when you compare yourself to others instead of comparing yourself to your own journey. So, all right. Well, it looks like, let's see. Let me read to make sure I got your, I see that's how they see me in comparison to others. I'm not sure who they are you're talking about. Are you talking about doctors or people that are working with you on your situation or whatever? I'm not quite sure who they are, but I want you to focus on that you can't control what anyone else, you cannot control anyone else's perception, and other people's perception doesn't need to control you. You need to recognize that you can let go of that. You can let go of wondering what other people are worried about, wondering how other people are labeling you, because you can own and sit into who you are. And that's what those permissions are so powerful. That's actually, permissions are going to be your huge friend. Write on a piece of paper when you're going into those if I'm reading this correctly, and I'm assuming it's doctors or people that are working with you, go into those appointments with a sticky note that you've given whatever permissions you need to, permission to show up as who you are and be proud of what you bring to the table, or give yourself permission to Be unique and teach the doctor something new that will help generations of patients. As if you, I mean, if it really is so unique and so unusual, then focus on the benefits that your experience could be having on many people in the future, both from the doctor's perspective as well as possible people that you might come in contact with. It's hard to be that person that has that weight on them, that of responsibility, but just stop and think about what it is you want to give yourself permission for, because you do not have to be limited by and weighed down by the expectation of someone else's labeling of you. It's the same way you're talking about one situation, but everybody else does. A lot of other people do it as moms. We do it as moms all the time. We see people judging us just as mothers, not even just with our health or anything like that, but just as how, unconsciously comparing ourselves to everyone around us. And that's why being really vigilant and intentional about combating these gremlins in our own mind, specifically targeted at situations and specific gremlins. So it's powerful. It'll make you braver and more at ease and at home, being able to sit into who you are. I kind of do that when I say that, because I picture myself actually kind of settling in and being at peace with who I am, and knowing that this is my journey. I own it. I'm on it. I'm moving in it. I'm taking my 1%. I'm seeing progress. I can have hope. All these things, you just have to keep visualizing and working towards seeing that 1%, keeping that upward hopeful motion, and just take those one little steps. Work with whoever you're working with. I don't know if that makes any sense. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, it is definitely a gremlin, and you don't have to be tied down by other people's expectations. It is what you can control, is your own expectation for yourself and how you see yourself. And I think the fact that you are going through what you're going through and still willing to show up, participate, do what you can, be working on the things that you have influence on, and just be letting yourself opening yourself up to all the learning and growth. I just think it's amazing, and I'm so glad that you're here, part of the group, and sharing and being inspiring to everybody. So hopefully that is helpful. I feel like I own it. We just expect that weird things happen and keep our positive, happy attitudes and laugh. Well, it sounds like you're doing exactly what is fruitful for you. Then it sounds. Well, I think that is all the questions, and we are exactly at our 2 hours. So we kept to exactly the timeline expected. And Tana, like I said, has created a timeline, a timestamp, and when we get the video posted here in the next hour or so, we'll have that timestamp there for you. All right, have a fun week. Good luck, and I can't wait to hear about everyone's family fun nights and your progress you're making. Don't give up. Don't feel behind. Talk to you later. See y'all.